In April of 1961, 5 years before his death, Walt was heavily involved in the design of his dream park just announced for 12 miles southeast of Orlando, Florida. As construction of the Florida project was ramping up, Disney held a Florida press conference to officially reveal to the public the master plan and artist depiction of his giant new East Coast property.
Walt Disney will bring a new world of entertainment, pleasure, and economic development to the state of Florida. Walt Disney.
Among these shown on 16mm film that day were the plans for a completely new section to be located in Frontierland. All but forgotten, this section is now legend and vital in properly telling the story of the Magic Kingdom's Frontierland. Go back and dust off the plans to the early design of the park for what would have been one of the most complex, expensive, and largest show buildings built to date: Thunder Mesa and the Western River Expedition. The True Life Adventure series is a collection of 14 documentary shorts produced by Walt Disney Productions between 1948 and 1960 that won 8 Academy Awards for the studio, including 3 for the Best Documentary Feature. So successful was the series that it inspired a daily comic strip drawn by George Wheeler, distributed between 1955 and 1971. Roughly the same lifespan as Disneyland's Rainbow Caverns and Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, also inspired by the Nature series. These were at peak popularity in the 1960s when the design for Florida's Magic Kingdom were being drawn. For his East Coast park, Walt Disney wanted to build something based on the combined concepts that made Disneyland's Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland so successful. He commissioned trusted Imagineer Marc Davis with the task of building the marquee attraction to be hidden inside Frontierland. Walt asked for the area to be something similar but something different, using a foundation of what he knew Davis could do well: rocks, lighting, special effects from a moving boat. Thunder Mesa the area was to be called, and when complete there were to be explorer trails, pack mules, canoes, and even a runaway mine train, in addition to the Walt Disney World Railroad that would run inside and through the building's fictional town of Dry Gulch. The land would be home for a string of attractions, eateries, and experiences, including the most famous Disney ride never built, the Western River Expedition. Though not the only attraction of Thunder Mesa, there's no doubt the Western River Expedition was the star. Its final design would have guests enter through a mine shaft into the side of the mountain rock to one of 3 giant contained show buildings where guests would cross a natural arch over a stream rushing below them with boats returning from their adventure. On board, the boats would drift, slowly at first, into darkness as the sounds of nature and the narrator take over and begin the legend of the Western River. The boat would begin to float magically up a waterfall into a river for a cruise to the days of the cowboys and Indians in Frontierland's iconic Hollywood Western style. Adventurers would float through caves, deserts, open prairies, and various scenes of stagecoach bandits, cowboys, coyotes, and buffalo, and even featured a signature song made just for the ride. Its final plans proposed some of the most advanced audio animatronics to date in any Disney park. Even the animals and cactus would pick up and carry the tune. Imagineers spent almost a decade on the project. Blueprints were drawn. They even went so far as to build a model replica, and even further in building the accompanying railroad station, giving riders a second option than round-trip rides to and from Main Street as it was when the park opened. So what went wrong? There was a perfect brew of circumstances that ultimately led to the plans of Thunder Mesa to be put back on the shelf. Imagineers were spread thin with projects being designed around the new property. The 70s came with a recession, and the Thunder Mesa project ultimately proved to be too expensive at a time where multiple large projects were already in the works. Finally, there was concern of cultural insensitivity of the Native American scenes, making the Imagineers cautious to move forward in a way that would not offend any of its guests. It was a perfect brew that sent the project into a tailspin, from which it hasn't recovered to this day. Many park enthusiasts still hold on to hope, though, that one day the most iconic Disney ride never built will one day cause Frontierland to get dark a little earlier as the sun sets behind Thunder Mesa.